Just kind of like to catch up with everybody. How's everybody doing? Anything to report? What's God doing in your life? Just let's have a little updates here. Anything cool going on in your lives? Rick or Rock?
Well, I had twins.
Rock had twins
6 weeks ago, and I haven't been sleeping a lot, but the difficulty of not sleeping versus the blessing of having children it outweighs it completely. So
Rock posted a picture on Facebook that was absolutely precious. His hair was up in the air, and he didn't even know it until he looked in the mirror and he saw it. And I was like, okay, this is what it's like to not get any sleep and have twins. So, what's really cool about the twins, so that you guys know, it wasn't just a desire to have children. We had children. It was the fact that we were told they couldn't have children, and we believed that they had a prophetic word over their lives that they were going to have their children. And so what the Lord did, through a process, through prayer, through just believing together, is God brought forth life in the form of the promise. So he spoke a word over their lives, and then the Lord brought forth those twins. And so those two girls are a direct answer to a lot of prayers. And that's thrilling to me. I mean, that's, when we see those kinds of things, I celebrate every child. Every child is a miracle. But when a group of people get together and they fight against the world's prognosis, the world's prognosis is it can't happen. But God said it can. But the world says it can't. But God said it can. But the world says it can't. And so then we're not going to argue with the world anymore. We're just going to pray. And we're going to believe. And that's what the twins really represent to all of us, that we believed. So we're really excited about that.
I don't know you, but I want you to know we have twin girls. And they were also a miracle in our lives because we were not supposed to be able to have kids. We've gone through all sorts of stuff. Finally gave up and decided we were going to adopt. And we went through the adoption process and we were on a waiting list. And don't ask me how, but it happened. And so
we can explain it if you'd like.
Twin girls, you need advice on twin girls.
They're
27 years old now, and a blessing every day. It just gets better.
Didn't you have one of those girls in here with you
yeah,
last time you were in? That's right.
That is so cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
What are your daughters' names?
Mary Jane and Betsy. One's a teacher here in town, and one's a police officer. She was the injured one that was here, and she's still injured. So.
Advice is very welcome.
You don't need advice. Just pray a lot and sleep whenever you can.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You too.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
For those of you who know my journey or not, I had a complete miraculous thing happen. Miraculous thing happened to me in the last month. I got a job that I don't have the worldly qualifications for. It's pretty unbelievable. So I'm just very grateful to God for that. And God's doing miraculous work in my marriage and with my kids, so I'm very thankful.
It's interesting with Armand. He was so faithful working in a job that he wasn't really happy with in the early stages of it. And he got to the place where he's like, you know what? If this is where God has me, then this is where I'm going to be. And he had an attitude of where he embraced where God put him. But have you ever had a job that you didn't really want to be at, but God wouldn't let you leave it? You ever had a job like that? Anybody? It's pretty frustrating. And so when you get to that place where you just completely just say to the Lord, it's okay, God, if this is where you want me. And so God and Armand were working through a thing with that for a long time, and I saw peace on his heart. I saw an attitude where he was grateful to have the job. And then the Lord opened a door for him to have a job that was like, it's like if you were the janitor over here, all of a sudden you're the president. And it was just amazing what God did for him. I mean, he really opened a door for him in a very bold, powerful move. And Armand is totally the man for that job. He's doing fantastic. So we're really proud of him. Yes, Armand. Anybody else? Yeah, Mary, one of my servers, she brought a piece of paper in, and she was talking about how some kids at Battleground, one kid brought a loaded gun to school to give to another kid, and somebody else they confiscated the gun, everything. I mean, and it tells you that our schools are starting to do the right thing. The kids are starting to say, hey, let's not wait. Let's do the right thing. So it's tragic that the gun found its way there, but it's heroic that the kids stepped up and did the right thing early. And so I'm really proud of those kids for doing that. It's hard when a world is really suffering financially, when there's oppression, like it's so hard that people can't tolerate. They don't know what to do. And if they don't have the Lord in their lives, if they don't have a way to go and deal with the pain that's inside of them, if they don't feel and believe that there is hope, hopelessness can actually change somebody's personality. It can actually take a character and erode it to the place where they don't care anymore. And so, we've got to, and we are. It goes back to us. It doesn't go back to darkness being darkness. That if the definition for darkness is the absence of light, then the definition of evil is the absence of good. And so at some point we become the good of God. We become the light of the world. We become the ones that bring forth change. We're the atmosphere changers. We're the ones who can carry hope in our back pocket and speak it out to people that are hopeless, because we have hope. And so I think it's critical for us to be ambassadors of hope, ambassadors of the good of heaven, so that we become a holy contagion. And instead of feeling bad I don't like to watch the news unless occasionally I feel like God's asking me to track a story. But the news media is so negative.
Yeah.
And they don't find the upbeat stories that are truthful and hopeful. They just find the stuff that's dark and ugly that's going to sensationalize everything. And at some point it becomes too much. It's an overload. I'd rather watch Seinfeld. But that's just me. Anybody else?
I don't even know how to condense it, so I just have one really cool miracle. A lot has happened this last couple of months. I have 6 weeks about, actually. I don't know how to process it, but I did finally step up and ask God, because I'm trying to make decisions with my kids and how to balance putting aside money for them to do things. So, is this just a time for them not to do it?
Right.
So I was like, God, I need a miracle, and it's going to have to be huge financially. I don't know how I'm doing this. And last week I got a $1,000 check in the mail, which I've only heard of stories like that.
That's cool.
So when I found out about that, I mean, yeah, I poured on. I called her crying. She thought something bad had happened. And I'm like, there's a $1,100 check in my hand.
That's
It
awesome.
shouldn't be here.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah. So holidays aren't going to be as scary as I thought they were.
You'll have a little more room for blessing.
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. Congratulations. There's some other things that God is doing that I'll just bring you guys up to speed on. I just want to put in your hearts as a small gem. In Christ, we are more than conquerors, the Bible says, right?
Yeah.
That means that it's not what you do that makes you more than a conqueror. It's who's in you that makes you more than a conqueror. And so just your presence changes things. Don't underestimate how valuable you are. Don't underestimate how important you are to any situation. Sometimes just sitting in an environment, reading a book quietly, can change an entire atmosphere. Sometimes walking in with a peaceful spirit, I've seen it happen. My wife tends to walk around with a peaceful spirit everywhere she goes. She's just that way. It's really annoying when you don't want to be peaceful. No, I'm kidding, baby. It's awesome. I'll apologize now so I don't have to later. But it's one of those things to me where if you have peace in your heart, chaos can be around you, and chaos will become less chaotic because of you. It's a saturation. It's a virus. True spirituality, true Christianity is not something, it's not just a bunch of dogma that you convince your mind is true and that you just believe. True Christianity is a relationship with a living God filled with love and intimacy, and it becomes a holy contagion. Have you ever seen two people that are deeply in love and they're walking hand in hand, and it kind of captures you and you can see like kind of looking over there, But you see, when you see romance happen, it kind of causes a holy blush. There's that sense of, wow, that's beautiful. We'll multiply that by 1,000, and then you still aren't even close when somebody's walking in intimacy with the Lord. When you're walking in intimacy with the Lord, people will sit up and take notice and not even understand what it is they're seeing. Because you make a difference. Your walk with God penetrates things. Your walk with God will bring down walls. Your walk with God will actually bring healing to people. I've seen that happen.